Hi, I'm Linda Powell. I teach pattern cutting at Morley College, and for today's lesson, lesson 4, we're going to do a circle skirt. With a circle, we divide the circle into 4 sections, and the pattern is actually just this section, which is what I've got here, which is a quadrant. Now what we need to work out, there is a measurement from the centre of the circle that shapes out, that allows us to mark the circle to fit exactly the waistline that we want to do. And it's this measurement that I'm going to show you how to do. Right, before we start, I want you to see how the circle skirt works within the quadrant. I've got here a full circle skirt. Here we go, full circle skirt, like this. If I fold it in half and then in half again, like this, and lay it within the quadrant, we have 4 layers that will make the circle, but there is a position at which on my quadrant, which I'll demonstrate later, where the full circle skirt waistline is positioned, and this is 4 layers. Now for the half circle skirt, you can see here we have half a circle. The waistline measure is exactly the same. Fold it in half and we have 2 layers that fit within the quadrant here, and if I fold back at the waistline, there is a marker to show where the measurement of the half circle waistline is. And then finally I have here, you can see it's a quarter circle, waistline exactly the same, and this fits within the quadrant. The quadrant is to help you mark the waistline. The length can be any length you want. Now if I fold this back, you'll see that there are marked lines with punched holes to show you where the quarter circle waistline is. Okay, there is another waistline on here which I haven't got a sample for, but it's another little smaller marker, and that would be for a double circle, and you would need 8 layers of this quadrant to make a double circle. Okay, I'm going to put these away, and now I'm going to show you how to mark and start making your own quadrant with your own waist measurements punched into it. So if I put this out of the way, here to here, we start by taking the waist measurement. So if your waist, I've written it down here, if your waist is 68 centimetres, divide that waistline measurement by 6.28 and it will give you 10.8 centimetres. So in other words, before I start, I've done 2 lines at right angles to each other in readiness. So if I measure down 10.8 all the way round here, I'll do it quickly and space it so you don't get fed up watching. But if we do 10.8 here, like this, and square each end, and then measure a length, you have the first layer for a full circle skirt that you would need to cut 4 times this quadrant. Okay, for a double circle skirt, we halve that 10.8. If this is 10.8, for a double circle skirt, you would measure 5.4 in exactly the same way from where the 2 lines cross, measure down 5.4, 5.4, 5.4. And this is for a 68 centimetre waist. I'm going to do it quickly, but basically this would be a double circle and you would need 8 layers. So what I tend to say to students to do, mark off your line. So we've got 5.4 for a double circle, 10.8 for a full circle, double that becomes 21.6 for the half circle, double that again becomes 43.2 for a quarter circle, and however long your card allows or your paper, we just do a bottom line. And then what you need to do is 21.6, 43.2, and then the mark from the corner each of these markings, and then just keep moving your rule around so that you take in all of these measurements, and so on. 21.6, and keep going round until you've got the whole quadrant marked off. Using the measurements that we talked about earlier, for a 68 centimetre waist measurement, the radius for each one has been marked off: the double circle, the full circle, half circle and quarter circle. I've also marked a centre line through the middle as a possible grain line. I've done it this way because it's easier for you to see than what's on my basic card. Having said that, once you've got the card, you'll want to know how to take from it the information that's what I've done on the actual card is roughly at 1 centimetre intervals. I've poked a hole through on each of these waistline measurements, depending on whether it's for the quarter, the half circle, the full circle or the double circle. So as a demonstration, I'm going to draw a pattern for the full circle skirt by just drawing round the quadrant here. I'm taking the full length of the quadrant as it is. Obviously the skirt can be lengthened or shortened according to your preference. So there's our quadrant, and then we mark through, put your biro, or in this case a Sharpie, through the holes so that you can find the waistline. There we go. Nice thing about Sharpies, they bleed through lovely. Right, here we go. So if I take this away, you can see already that you have the waistline marked all the way round. Do a right angle at the edges, and you have your pattern ×4 to make the full circle skirt. Now, one of the other things I did with a full circle, this can be a fold line, folded out, so you have a half skirt, and then you put seam allowance around the seams, and the hem would be whatever length you chose your skirt to be, a short one or a long one. But a nice thing to play with, I'm going to take the measurement from here, a nice thing to play with is the grain line, so that, here we go, is the grain line, in which case, if you choose to make your grain line through the middle, what they call a gore grain, you do get a lovely swing to the skirt panels. But if you do that and have your grain line like this, then each of these sections will need a seam around. There's no fold line with a gore grain. You have 4 separate pieces. But basically, that's how you trace off the information from your card. Now, having said that, some of you might want to just start from the beginning and say, I only want a full circle skirt. I don't want to mess about with all of this on card. I'll just measure down the radius from the point and create the skirt that I want, and also decide what kind of grain line or fold line I want to, what kind of hang I want to the skirt. So that's basically it. That's your circle skirt. And just to finish off, I'll remind you that what a full circle skirt looks like. So this is 2 layers like this. This one, the grain line is through the middle here and each side here, so we have seams at the side. But if you choose to do it on a gore grain, then your grain line will be through the middle here, and then you'd have seams each side as well as on the waist and hem. And I hope that helps to explain and get you started on a full circle skirt and all the other circles as well. As a reminder, the exercise we've just done was based on a 68cm waist, but whatever your waist measurement, it is divided by 6.28 to get your radius for your circle, and that gives you a full circle skirt. After that, you can halve the radius, your own radius, double the radius, 4 times the radius, depending on which circle skirt you wish to make.